Hey everybody, Chuck G here, and today we're going to do kind of a tutorial on just how to get started, how to build a golf course from nothing. So if you want to get into the design, or maybe you've never done it before, maybe you have and you're looking for a new way to do things, this is kind of a beginner's to intermediate tutorial on how to build from a blank plot of nothing into an actual pretty good golf course. So here's what we're going to do. Before we do anything else, we're in the design screen here. Before we do anything else, got to go into our settings. And we got to go to Designer, Course Designer. And we got to put the default hole count to 0. And once that's at 0, when you go ahead and go through the prompts in making a new golf course, you will not have any holes pre-populate on the screen. The last thing you want on your golf course are auto-generated things. So we're going to talk about that a lot in the next several minutes. So change hole count to 0. You can do as you please with the rest of these things. Now that hole count is 0, I'm going to click on New Golf Course, New Course. Oh, look at there. I have a new quest available. How about that? All right. First thing to do is, let's name it. Name it whatever you like. Choose a theme. All of these themes are cool in their own way. Probably the most, at least what I've found, the most kind of usable for everything. There's a word for that, but it escapes me. Oh well, that's what getting old does for you. But you got Boreal is a very popular one. Delta is very popular. Autumn is very popular. Temperate is new with our game now. So let's explore that one. All right, so we've chosen a theme. Let's go to terrain. Now, there are a couple of ways to build a golf course. The first is to route your golf course into the existing terrain. So, like, I would put hills at maybe 50-ish. That'll give me some hills around the golf course. I'm going to actually do that to show you what it looks like. I'm going to get rid of trees. I'm going to get rid of plants. I'm going to get rid of grass. And I'm going to get rid of rocks because I don't want any of that stuff in my way. We'll come back to that. Remember, we left the terrain, the elevation at 50. So layout. Okay, remember number of holes? We turned that to 0, so we got that. If you left that on, you could then choose par 3s, par 5s, fairway width, bunkers, etc. But for us, we're going to move all that to nothing, except for greens. We'll leave it I usually leave it around 15 or so, just because I want to see where the green is. So, apply that. Now that we've set all that up, continue. Yes, it is saved, but nobody will see it till it's published. So now we have a golf course that's got elevation on it. This is pretty rough stuff here, not unlike what you probably would see if you were hired to build a golf course on some property that some dude bought. So you could route holes into this elevation, here's a high spot here, so you could do something like this. I'll use the measuring tool, and you could kind of come down here into this little valley. That would be cool, and then kind of something up the hill, up here, that would be cool. But we're not going to do that. I'm going to choose a slightly simpler way, and that is going to be, we're going to start from completely flat. So the first thing we want to do, and you wouldn't do this if you set terrain to 0. Hills, what I mean is hills. So we're going to set hills to 0. That does not make it completely flat. We're going to do that now. So what we're going to do is Go over here to sculpt. This is a nice looking panorama. You got some lakes out in the distance. You can do nothing with these lakes because they're off of the plot. But it's nice. You get some scenery there that looks pretty good. As a matter of fact, let's do this. Let's go ahead and look at our backdrops. Let's see, what does this one look like? Well, it's just regular old hills. Looks nice. Oh, here's our Mount Fuji one. Yeah, there we go. I call it the Mount Fuji one. I don't know. Here's one of the two water. Every theme now has water, has ocean, which I love. That's so awesome because sometimes I've wanted to use a boreal with an ocean. Here's your island one with more islands, kind of an archipelago. And here is kind of your Thailand, South Pacific Islands sort of theme thing going on there. So I'm going to stick with the lakes. I like that one. We are not going to build a golf course out of this. When I say we, I mean me. We're not going to build a golf course out of this, but we're going to just show you what I do. So we've chosen the backdrop. That's cool. Lighting, I like the time of day in the morning, usually between 9 and 10. Orientation we'll leave for now, and then put inclination just under 30 because that looks the coolest. You get some nice details in here. All right, so we've chosen all that stuff. We've got our lighting set. Lighting is something you can mess with at any time, but we want to get that set right away. And then the next thing you want to do is go down to your sculpting tools, and we're going to do landscaping raise, find the rectangle one, make it as big as you can. And we're going to raise this. You can raise it as much or as little as you like. I like to definitely raise it high enough so that if I put some deep bunkers and everything like that, I'm not going to get into the groundwater. But we'll just, for sake of easy round number, we'll set this to 100. And raise that up. And then we're going to move this over here. Try to do it so that you're not overlapping, because if you overlap, you'll get part of it at higher than what you want. Also, try not to go over into the outside of the plot, just because we want our golf course to just kind of be centralized here. We don't want to see the edges of the plot per se. All right, so now we've raised all that, but it's still not flat. Not a problem. Flattening. Now, just for fun, I do this way, the opposite way that I did the raising, and just kind of go around here, flatten all the things as many times as you want. I don't have any elevation turned on, so it's just going to kind of flatten it to 0. And that looks pretty cool. Again, we don't want to really get over here when we're doing our routing because this doesn't look so great. You could, a lot of this is up to you. You can do whatever you like. I'm going to flatten that one more time. Uno mas. Yeah. Now, even though we flattened it, it's not going to be completely flat all the way across our plot. So here we go, and there. See, this side is 9 feet higher than the other side. That's not a big deal. But now you're kind of starting from a blank, completely blank canvas. So before you do anything else, save, save, save. It's kind of like Glengarry Glen Ross. Always be closing, always be saving.
A, B, C. A, always, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Sucks out loud to lose potentially hours of work just because your power went out, or your computer crashes, or the game freezes. Now we're going to lay out some holes. Now, one thing I don't like about the new game and the new designer is our cursor doesn't show north and south anymore. We haven't changed the orientation of the sun, so we can kind of figure it out that is east over there because we're in the morning, and that is west. But I don't like that you don't see north and south. It honestly doesn't matter. Route your golf course any which way you like and change the orientation of the sun later on to get the lighting effects that you want. So for now, we're going to start up here. Stay away from the edge. Like, don't like put number 1 tee here, right? You got to leave room for clubhouse. Got to leave room for landscaping, etc. And let's go ahead and route our golf course. So you can go to Create Holes. And then before you get started, click the right stick once. Boom. So once we have this hole set down, up in this top corner up here, we will see how long it is. And, for easy, roll the cursor over, it'll show how long the thing is. Over here, 2T, that just shows you basically how far away you've gone. So you kind of get an idea of how long the hole's going to be. So we'll do number 1 going like this. And we're going to, let's see, that's 300, fine. And we'll make this kind of a medium length par 4. Now, look, I got a green bunker. Did not want that. So, because I forgot to go over here to course settings, green settings, bunkers, 0. That's new also with this new designer, is you have to do that or you will get auto-generated bunkers. You don't want any that's easy for me to say. You don't want any auto-generated anything on this golf course. So, like you can see, that's a 435-yard hole. Next will be this one. Space this out just a little bit. We're going to go in the same direction. And we're going to make a par 5. So about 300 and then about 560 is good. That's a kind of medium length par 5, reachable by most players. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make another par 4, and we're going to just kind of go around the outside of the plot here. There's, infinite number of ways you could route this golf course. That's a short par 4 followed by a par 3. You also want to adjust and put your par 3s and par 5s and everything, space that out so that you're not like, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 5, 5, because that's just kind of boring. You want variety. You want, but imagine you're playing this. This is why I like to lay out holes first, because I like to get a flow of one hole to the next. So that's a very short par 4, medium-ish par 3, and then we're going to put a long par 4 after that. Oops, that's too far. We want to go a little bit right. I'll put that at like 480. Okay, so number 2 was the par 5, right? So we can come back with number 6 being a par 5. Again, and let's say this one is uber long at about 620. All right, it goes in a different direction than that one. That's also important. And we're about to see that we want to go in a different direction for the next par 3, which is going to be slightly longer at about 200. All right, and we're working our way back to the clubhouse. That's also a choice you can make. You can decide to go back to the clubhouse, the double loop kind of thing. That's more of an American style golf course. Or you can do kind of an out and back, which is going to be, more of a European golf course where, 9 holes go out and then 9 more holes come back. And we'll end this with a longish par 4 at 460. So there's 9 holes. Save. Okay, so here's 9 holes, and I'm going to very quickly lay out the next 9. Okay. So we've got 18 holes laid out, and there are a couple things to keep in mind when laying out a golf course. Let me get rid of that menu so you can see better. So essentially what you want to do is, number one, vary the length of the holes. Don't have every par 4 be 500 yards, and don't have every par 5 be 600 yards. You want a nice mix of lengths of holes to add variety. So, wow, I almost made the back nine exactly. Wow, it's 30 yards off. Not bad. So, you want the two nines to be roughly the same length. You don't have to get it right down to the number, but as you can see here, here's our par fours. We got 435, 392, 483. It's a big one. 414, 467. So those are, I could maybe make the eighth hole a little shorter, but back nine, you got 493, 405, 476. So there's a couple of long ones right away. 408, and 455. Again, there's pretty decent variety there. A lot of this stuff can be messed with once you're working on the golf course. Par fives, you got 550, 567, 623. That's a big one. You've got 588, and you've got 597. So pretty much, except for maybe the sixth hole, all of these are reachable depending on locations. And then par threes, it's probably where you want the most variety. So 182 and 194, those are similar but not exactly the same. 168 will probably make that slightly shorter. And then 240, that's going to be your giant one. So here's our 75, almost 7,600 yard golf course. Okay, so you're done doing that. What do you do next? Well, first off, let's adjust this a little bit. What did I say? I wanted to make 11 a little bit shorter. So you're going to go over here, make sure you're on your cursor. You want to go right over this waypoint right here, move hole 11 waypoint. And we'll just do that, and now that's exactly the length I want it. What was the other hole I said I wanted to change? So I think it was... we're going to change 8. And number 8 will be over. Yeah. Now, you don't have to go into the menu. You can just see how it says A to hold and move. I love that. I'm going to make that. So that's just under 400. And again, just because the hole is short doesn't mean it's going to be easy. So you're going to fix that up when you're working on the golf course. So there we go. I've done kind of what I wanted to do in terms of shortening it up. So still 7,500. That's pretty long. And, it is what it is. So let's save. Anything between 7,000 and 7,500 is a good length for a par 72 golf course. If I wanted to tell you an ideal length for a golf course, I would say par 71 and like 7,000 yards. Most par 71s are going to have one fewer par 3s. I'm sorry, one fewer par 5s. All right, so you've got 18 holes laid out. It's a nice layout. The course flows nicely. Okay, so you can see we auto-generated some light rough here. And I kind of like that at the beginning because now you kind of get an idea. You can put holes closer, not close together. These holes are, it's a relatively compact plot. 18 holes are laid out. You've got this light rough here. So while the light rough is here, I like to choose textures right away. I think that's a choice you can make that is, it's a something I want my golf course to look like it's going to look when I start making it. So here's our green. So let's do this. We're going to create surfaces. We're going to create a fairway, and we're going to use the spline tool and just draw something around here. Connect it. I like to go to edit and smooth. Ta-da. Okay. So now we can get an idea. This is why I like to leave the green size as something, because now I can see the green, I can see the fairway, I can see the light rough. These textures look fine, but I want to do something a little different. So along the bottom, toward the end of the row there, you've got course settings. We're going to start with the rough. We're going to start with heavy rough texture. So this is the theme default. And in a later episode, we will talk about theme default when it comes to objects. We could go with something dark like that. I don't know that I want that. You also want to kind of match your panorama here. So you don't want to go the super dark green if that's not also super dark green. It honestly, in some ways doesn't matter because you can hide the edges, and I'll show you how to do that at another time. You could go for more of a kind of burnt out look. You could go completely, dried up like, dormant zoysia or something like that. Or dormant Bermuda or something. I don't like that other than in special circumstances. 10 was always a good one, assuming these are the same numbers as they were before. 20 was always a good one. Obviously, if you're up here, you can see the repetition in the tiles. But down here, it looks kind of cool. What do we got over here? 30 was always pretty good. I tend to go for the warmer versions of green than the cooler versions of green. And what I mean by that, it's a kind of a photography, graphic art thing where the more yellow you have in a image, then that's generally warmer. Whereas if you have more blue in that image, it's cooler. Kind of like this is a cooler version of green. I tend to gravitate toward the warmer versions, although sometimes this is somewhat neutral, but a little bit on the cool side. And then, we've got some of the probably newer textures over here. This is a good one. Let's stick with 49, why don't we? Okay. So we want to remember that all the time. So light rough texture now will change to 49. I don't think I'm going to like that, but that's okay. This is completely subjective. This is up to you 100% what you decide you want your textures to look like. As a general rule, you want all of your textures, except for bunker, to probably be from the same number, from the same family. So, here we go. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. And then green. Go ahead and green texture 49. I hardly changed that at all. So green you could kind of mess with a little bit. Nope, that looks terrible. See, again, you want to stay warm with your color. That looks good. I like the way that looks. So we're going to leave it like that. Like I said, there's some few and far between times you can actually change up what you decide to do with your, with your textures. Bunkers, you can have whatever you like for bunkers. That's purely on you. Okay. Let's delete this. And then the next thing we'll do, now that we've chosen our textures, we will save. That's always the next thing. So really the next thing I like to do is what I call ambient elevation. So we're going to go to Landscaping Tools, Raise, go to the fluffiest brush we got, which is this guy. Make it a lot larger. I'll raise that up, 20-ish feet. And by the way, if you don't know, raise and lower your elevation brushes is your bumper buttons, belly, baby, buggy, bumper buttons. And so right button to go up, left button to go down. It's a little too tall. So now I just like to go out here and randomly, I'm spam clicking the A button to just get some kind of hills around the outside of the golf course and a little bit into the golf course to go ahead and just make it. This is a way also of hiding the edges of your plot. So unless you're down there, you're generally not going to see that. That's also going to be hidden by trees eventually, right? So your 18th hole is going to come up the hill here, which I like. And you can still have room for water if you want it. So, like, I'll go ahead and put the water. Why not? Mulch. Nope. We want a mulch spline. So, 15 definitely needs water. We'll put this over here, and we'll bleed it into number 16 as well. So let's go. These are going to be water. I could go ahead and put those down now if I wanted to, but we're not going to do that. Let's save. The very last thing we're going to do in this episode is we're going to get rid of the rest of the auto-gen things. So go to course settings, go to rough, light rough width 0. Bye-bye. Heavy rough width 0. Bye-bye. So that means you will be drawing all of your shapes. Obviously, this green can't be used. It's too tiny. But when it comes time to make a green, you just draw around it. Ta-da. So where we're at now is we have our holes ready to go, and we can begin working on each hole individually. So versatile, that's the word I was looking for. Haha, from umpteen minutes ago. Boreal is a versatile theme. Can't believe that. So why not? That's a nice thing to strive for, but ultimately you want to design for yourself. So, you don't have to design for other people. You don't have to design for anyone other than yourself. Maybe you'll be the only person who plays your golf course. Maybe you run a society and you want to make a crazy difficult golf course for that society's championship. That's totally up to you. How you design your golf course, 100% up to you. But just keep in mind there are certain standards when you get into like TGC Tours that they have, and one of them is no auto-generated anything. So that's why we set that to 0. That's why we're going to draw our own holes and our own fairways and rough and all of that stuff on our next episode. So take it easy. I hope this was helpful. If it was, drop a like on the video, drop a comment with what you didn't like, drop a comment with what you did like. And another thing to keep in mind is I do stream on Twitch, and I will be streaming at least one day a week where I just play 3 random golf courses and kind of review and talk about, what's good and what's bad on these golf courses. So if you want your golf course played, drop that in the comments as well, and I will definitely take a look at it if I can. And I wish you all the best. You guys all have a terrific rest of your day, and I'm out.